There's a lot at stake in this week's veto competition because whoever wins will get to watch an advanced screening of Bro.
I mean, damn.
Sharing this information feels like a weight has been lifted off my chest. I feel like this is the right decision on a moral level.
Don't make us go back to our liberal city home with tales of prejudice and bigotry from in the heart of Utah.
That's right. Big Brother Week 8 Power Veto episode, rated R for many reasons, is aired here on August 31st, 2022, a Wednesday, of course, here in Week 8 at the Big Brother 24 house. I'm Dave Mader, joined by my brother Jeff Mader here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch.
We're Dave, today it's just bros.
It's just bros. It's just bros, but I don't know how to feel about this because this was a romantic comedy, but they're not really they're not brothers, and it's just but it's kind of a
just
thing.
Bros. That's, you know what? We should rename the podcast. It's just Bros now.
Yeah, or maybe they should rename their movie the Super Something Bros. Or yeah, maybe it's just bro. Tonight's just bros. A lot going on with Billy Eichner, Jeff.
Hi, house guests. I'm Billy Eichner.
And I'm Luke McFarlane.
And we're excited to share a sneak peek of our new movie, Bros.
Bros.
You know what? This is one of the only times I've ever watched like a trailer for a movie that they were gonna watch or whatever, where they showed it and I was like, that's actually a really smart idea for a movie, and I don't know why this hasn't been made yet. You know, that's what I thought when I watched the trailer.
Yeah, I thought it was like fine, and it was a good fit with the theme and in the like. Well, I guess that they tailored the veto competition around the movie more so than the other way around. But yeah, like it was good. I like Billy Eichner, like Billy on the Street and stuff like that. So it was.
But Dave, do we like Michael in the house? That's the question.
Michael in the house. Okay, yeah. Let's not bury the lead here because this. Okay, Jeff, this episode is going along and then it takes a turn, right? After this veto competition, there's kind of a hint here that, it's we've talked about this more in the spoiler section of our podcast, usually because this has been more live feeds. This hasn't really been shown on the show before, but that, that at times, definitely Kyle has pitched, he's afraid of a cookout type alliance forming or creating sides, and this is at one point I remember Jamil messaged us. He's like, it's KKK Kyle is trending on Twitter right now. There could be some, there was definitely a reaction within the live feed community for many weeks about this, but like most, I think the most casual audience and the other house guests found out about this more in this week, and it's definitely controversial. There's no way else to put this, I think, because there's kind of like, you can look at it from Michael's perspective, where I think I don't think he's losing sleep over this decision, but I think also that he's suspect on a couple levels here.
Yeah, because he's a psycho. Like this decision, Dave, completely affected Kyle's life.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, give here. I got the quote here.
Hey, so something's going on right now. Even the hint of race being a factor is like the most concerning thing for me, because never would that cross my mind. They're obviously using things that I've said and twisting them. That's a line I would never cross.
And there you go. Kyle is definitely, I think, got a point. And I think that this is I think there's people who are going to hate Kyle for this. I think people are going to sympathize with Kyle. But I think what we have to try to get to, Jeff, is the truth here. What's the objective truth of what's happened here in this house? How much of this?
I'll tell you what the truth is, Dave. Michael realized that Kyle had him dead to rights this week had he not got picked for the veto and won the veto. Okay? Kyle had the house on lock. He explained it in the episode. You saw it. He had two different alliances that were both working in his favor, and he was coming after Michael, and Michael knew it, And then Michael literally asks Brittany, like, oh, I don't want to have to do this, but, I think this, this, I don't want to have to protect him anymore. And, we could use this, is basically what he said. you know.
Right,
And
right.
and to me, Dave, that whole move that he does here is so icky. It is so, like, to me on a personal level is very it's like, I don't know. I just don't agree with it. Like, I think, like, if you want, he should have just talked to Kyle about it, you know, if it was bothering him that much, you know, and maybe Kyle, you know, and then if Kyle says, like, hey, no, like, you know, it completely rubs him off or whatever, but he didn't do that at all. He just used it.
Yeah.
He just used it as a weapon in the game to get what he wanted. And for me, that is not, that I can't applaud it. I can't respect it. I don't look at it as a good game move. I look at it as really dirty.
Was it? What do you think this was like? Retaliatory? Because do you feel like, like there was definitely things leading up in the episode that kind of get Michael even thinking about using this information. Where he's like, Kyle hasn't been the same since he came back from Direfest. He's not interacting with me in the same way. I think that Michael was feeling like, yeah, like he's definitely targeted here, and like obviously with Taylor and Brittany, two of his closest allies up on the block, he was feeling sort of cornered around this whole thing, like you said. And so I think that, but this whole thing, I guess, a betrayal with Kyle was also kind of felt, maybe in some ways, right? And
yeah, it was felt though, but it wasn't known.
It wasn't known. It was only at best suspected, right? He had suspicions, and he wasn't feeling great. And okay, but then you also have to look at Brittany's role in this, I think, too, because she was also privy to this information. She also didn't share it, and so it's all getting kind of put on Michael, but it's really Michael and Brittany equally kind of in the situation.
I agree. It's both of them,
right? Definitely Michael more of the alpha of the two, but it's, you know, they kind of come to the conclusion that they want to do this, but like, I don't know, like in Michael's case, it's definitely like, for him, there's the personal and there's the game, and there's not a ton of difference for him. It's kind of in the same. I think his like lawyer mentality comes through. I think in Brittany's case, I think she thinks differently, I think, than Michael does. Like, I don't quite know how to characterize it, but I think that she's definitely more opportunistic here, and you know, I think I think in some ways talked herself into this narrative of like, yeah, this is the right thing to do, but it would have been the right thing to do before, or go talk to Kyle at the time and say what. But I think the other thing too is like, should Kyle, even if this is completely true, right? Does Kyle deserve to be sort of ostracized, canceled, whatever you want to say, over this? Because last year there was an all-black alliance, the cookout, that won the game, right? Or like Xavier was the ultimate winner, but they went to the final six.
Yeah, and okay, and at the time that these conversations were happening, Dave, and I think it's important to understand this, Kyle he knew he was on the bottom of the Leftover Alliance, probably with Turner, okay?
Yeah.
And then he knew he had Alyssa, and he thought, okay, if I can get Michael and Brittany on my side, then I'll have a good alliance. He's a good player. And I kind of feel for him, because I think I can see where he was coming from. I could see why he thought that way, and I don't think it was necessarily racist. I think it comes across that way, though, 100%. You know,
especially the way I think Michael and Brittany go about doing this.
Yes.
Right. In the way they reveal this information, because it's like, hey, listen, do you know what he said? He said this, and like, it was going to create these sides, and it was all about, it was going to create a race war within the house, basically. It's kind of
yes. And it's not good. And they were right to talk him down, and everything Michael and Brittany were doing at the time was the right thing to do. Because what Kyle was saying was wrong. Like, he shouldn't have been saying, like, you know, let's divide the house based on race, you know. But it did make sense for what he was thinking as far as leaving the leftovers, you know. Like, I understood why he thought that in the numbers, you know, because he had Alyssa, you know. And it wasn't until the thing happened with Terrence the next week with Direfest where I think it all changed. You know, and he even in this episode, Dave, he wanted Monty to be their fifth so they could use him for the HOHs. You know, so it wasn't like, I don't think, like, that was gone. Like, that the whole narrative, I think, and was gone from Kyle and now it's brought back, and it's not in the moment anymore, you know. So it kind of to me, it feels like, you should have brought it up at the time, Michael and Brittany. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I don't think that's like lost on Turner. He says as much here at the end of the episode. Where is it?
It would make no sense to lie about such a sensitive issue. But they heard about this plan weeks ago. It is way too convenient that when they have a friend of theirs on the chopping block, this is the exact day that they bring this info to me.
I feel like I have the exact same mindset that Turner has, like he doesn't like Michael and Brittany anymore. He's out with them, I think he has the right, like, kind of view of the situation, even though
but he's also trying to navigate it sort of politically, I think too, right? He's like, I think I have to put up Kyle because that's going to be like, sort of like, how could you not put up Kyle in that situation?
But yeah, exactly. But he even, like Jamil said in the spoilers, like he even kind of wants him to stay.
Yeah, he's not like, like the conversation, like when this information starts getting around and how they react to it is really interesting, like Monty and Taylor being the first to be they're shocked.
Don't you think someone's missing from that, first person? Oh, we need to tell this information to. Isn't someone missing in it's in the house that should have been there?
Well, how do you mean? I'm not sure I understand.
Well, shouldn't Terrence also have been there?
Terrence should have been where?
Well, like the conversation when Michael and Brittany are telling Monty and Taylor, you were just talking about it.
Oh yeah, and why do you feel like do you think it was okay? So the question is, why tell specifically Taylor and Monty first?
Yeah, like the whole way they went about telling each individual house guest and avoiding Kyle while doing it, again, like everything they did was like so icky to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So why do Michael and Brittany choose not to? Because if they're going to, okay, who else? I'm just trying to remember the dynamics here. So the only people of color left in the house are Terrence, Monty, and Taylor, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so they're outnumbered by like, I guess it's 5-3. So yeah, so I guess the question is, why not include? Yeah, I guess that is a good question. I guess because they're not working with Terrence.
Yeah, like that. And like he says in the episode, Michael does that. This directly involves Monty and Taylor. Well, how does it not involve Terrence then? I
don't know. That's a good question. How does it not involve Terrence? Yeah, it does. And so ultimately, Monty's the one to tell Terrence. No one else tells
that's the whole thing I find laughable about this whole friggin' situation, is that Terrence is the one that still even was standing up for Kyle, but he was like, like, I don't know. It's like his voice doesn't matter. But he also
said, like, how are we working together, Kyle, if I'm on the block every week? If I've been up 4 times.
Well, but Kyle wasn't putting him on the block.
No, but I guess like but Taylor was.
Sure, yeah.
So how are Taylor and Terrence working together if he's going up?
They weren't. No, like his whole idea was wrong, Dave. Like at the same time, I could see how he was thinking that Monty, Taylor, and Joseph were working together. Right. And then they could, and he thought that that maybe they could pull in Jasmine, Indy at the time. This is many weeks ago.
Right. But there's also like this whole thing of like the last 3 boots here were Jasmine, Indy, and Joseph, also people of color, right, who Kyle threw into this conversation 2 weeks ago, right? And so it's almost like it's only like then maybe Monty and Taylor and Terrence are the next 3 to go, right? Until only the 5 white people are left. And then like it's like reverse cookout. Jeff, it's it's whatever it is. It's no good. Shouldn't even get a name.
Well, yeah, no, it's not a good thing to do this. He shouldn't have framed it that way. He never should have brought the cookout up. Like the whole idea of his alliance should have just been Alyssa and him with Michael and Brittany, and then you pull in Turner.
Right.
You know, there's your 5.
There's a couple questions about how this plays out, because there's going to be this big house meeting we're going to get to see in the next episode. That's going to be a big like emotional thing apparently. Like it's gonna shake the house, and it's like they haven't been able to shut up about it on social media all week. It's going to be big, right? But I think like long term, I keep wondering like how is this going to affect Michael's game, and Brittany, I guess, for that matter. But I keep coming back to Michael because he's and still is, I think, largely this front runner to win the season, who seems to be like the veto winner tonight, and he's been doing like most things right. He's been seeming like almost impossible. You see, like he won this slip and slide handedly, you know. And beyond that, he's a good social player. And then this move here tonight, where he chooses to throw Kyle under the bus in this way and use this information and throw the house around.
Yeah.
And even on that, I was also watching him in like these conversations he had tonight, where he was talking to Turner in like in the have not room, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can see the Turner's gonna put it's gonna backdoor me," and like all of Michael's instincts are right. This guy knows Big Brother through and through. Is my point. And
he's a good player.
And this move, this kind of icky move, this dirty move, is it going to be the Achilles heel of Michael's game, or are people going to even look at this?
Well, yeah,
is the jury going to look at this? I guess is what I'm asking.
I think it depends on if like certain players in this game can get him out. Like if Monty or Turner can get him out at some point, then he won't win.
Right. And I guess it depends like what happens with Kyle next. If Kyle's the next to enter the jury house and he gets a chance to tell them all, well, they all evicted because they thought I was starting an all-white alliance or something, and it's not true. And then if he can explain, if he can like step that stage in the jury house as these other people come in one by one, maybe Kyle can sort of turn that around. And ultimately, if Michael's sitting in the final 2, maybe it's, who knows, right? Like how this will interpret. But beyond that, even in the real world, I guess how are Kyle and Michael going to come out of this, and Brittany for that matter? But after this is all over,
if I were Kyle, I would be very upset at Michael.
And you can tell that he is at the end of the episode, right? You can tell when he goes into this diary room, he's like, "This isn't right. I would never have done this. This is below the belt, effectively." But I don't think Michael thinks it is. No, and
he doesn't at all. But but he does by his actions, Dave, because of the way he's going around individually telling everybody, and here's Jamil.
A very special Big Brother episode.
Oh yeah. That and that ending, that announcer there at the end.
Witness the powerful house meeting where everything comes to a crossroads. Plus, who will end up on the block? Who will be evicted? And who will become the next head of household? Find out tomorrow night at 9, 8 Central, live on Big Brother.
Did I not say this last on Sunday? I said this.
Yeah. You said you warned us this house meeting thing was going to be coming and all this, I think.
But also question. I assume you, like anyone else, like have to sure, Kyle, but Michael and Brittany. Let's not forget Michael and Brittany in all of this. That they held this for 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, magically, now is the right time to do it. Just as bad.
Yeah, it's like I think we were talking about like how is Michael's game and Brittany, but I think a little bit more Michael because he seems like in my mind a front runner to win this game, or he was, and how this jury will interpret this move by both of them if they are sitting in final 2. Will it be commended or will it be a sort of harrowed or how will Kyle be interpreted through this? And after the game, because I was just thinking about Big Brother 15, guys, the whole controversy with Aaron and Helen back in that season, and there was the other one, Candace, and
Howie
and that was the last time we had. well, I remember like something race related that was kind of this contentious within the house, right? And that season has largely been like buried, forgotten. We will never speak of it. Everything. The new era started with 16 with Derek Levasseur, and we never looked back.
Well, they shouldn't have cast McRae's lookalike. You know, if they didn't want to,
it was kind of like some kind of spirit, like McRae through Turner brought this spirit into the house.
Yes. Jamil.
Okay.
Like, the whole thing here with Michael and Brittany, where they use this strategically as a good player of Big Brother that Michael is proving himself to be. To me, this like tarnishes his gameplay. Like, I think this is completely like
Sam wants to know, was Kyle in the wrong?
Sam, are you asking me? Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll respond to what you just said and also what Sam did. But first, Jeff, what you said. On Sunday, I said, like, when stuff happens, like, there's the immediate reaction. But there's also, like, what happens for most POCs, individuals. They also see what happens with the reaction to the people around them, right? If you're Taylor, if you're Monty, if you're Terrence, but also once you hear about this, if you're Indy, if you're Jasmine, and then you're Joseph, you also have to think, Michael and Brittany heard about this 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago is when Indy was still there, right? When Indy was still part of it. And you said nothing. You said nothing, and you let that slide. You let Indy get voted up before Kyle. You let Jasmine and Joseph get voted up before Kyle, right? And all of a sudden, now that Brittany and yourself is in danger, all of a sudden now we're going to air Kyle's dirty laundry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You like, Michael and Brittany are automatically suspect in anything that they say, right?
Yeah, I think.
You think people should know that? You should have told people that when you heard it the first time. You should have shut it down immediately, right? It would never have been the big thing that it is right now if you said, Kyle, you're wrong. And they had a house meeting and Kyle goes, whoops, man, sorry, right? It would have been immediate there. The reason why a lot of times the stereotypes and also the maligning of individuals occur is because people stay silent, and Brittany and Michael let it fester, like made it waited until there was enough evidence. And when I say evidence, I mean it looks bad now because the last 3 people voted out were POCs.
Right.
It looks bad now, and Turner has his hand tied.
But Kyle was never HOH during those times. He was
very true. He did, but it doesn't matter because it's still. I hate to use the word optics, but anytime that he was protecting Alyssa or himself, right, and putting someone else up, right, that's what the optics look like. Hey, throw this person under the bus instead, right? So Kyle is not a racist, folks. He's not a racist.
Right.
What he did, right, is you can say he was bigoted, sure, right?
Yeah.
Right? Let's now let's take it easy. Now, Sam, your question, I kind of answered it. Was Kyle wrong? Kyle was wrong in terms of his assumption, and that assumption could have been clarified very quickly if anyone in the leftovers got wind of it and talked to him. Monty would have talked to him about it. Joseph would have talked to him about it. Close that stuff down. The question you should be asking, Sam, is Michael and Brittany wrong? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, like, to me, like, as much as what Kyle did was difficult and it's a sensitive topic and everything that comes up with it, what Michael and Brittany did to me within the game and personally to Kyle was, like, really shitty. Like, you know.
Was that spoiler?
Wait, hold on. Sam, we're talking about that in the spoiler section.
Yeah, that's spoiler section.
Just wait.
That was a premature comment.
Look, we're going to get over the sensitive moments. This could ruin his life. His life is not ruined, folks. Okay, his life is not ruined. Right?
No, but like,
there's not going to be a lynching afterwards, right? he's going to lose his YouTube job? No, he's probably going to get more viewers actually. If we
But
have
what kind of viewers?
if Andrew
Charlottesville type viewers, like
Erin's viewers. Erin's a multimillionaire with her YouTube channel.
Erin Grease. Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, okay. So she wasn't canceled.
What is like the whole term canceling? Like doesn't make me and you cannot cancel anyone.
Like Ben Affleck in Jersey Girl.
How was he canceled?
Yeah, he could run out of the industry. He couldn't stay in PR.
He still made movies after Jersey Girl.
No, I mean his character in the movie, not Ben Affleck in real life. I mean his character. When he says about the Will Smith thing,
and
then he can't work in PR. That's like that. I guess that's like the context is like you lose the ability to earn money. I guess, or
he was able to earn money. He wasn't able to earn money in the position that he wanted to,
right? Because he was sort of ostracized.
He could have went to a different country.
I guess he could have, but
his life wasn't over. He had options, and his options were limited. Is truly what happened.
Go watch the 2003 movie Jersey Girl if you want to know what we're talking about.
I'm just saying, Dixie Chicks. Sorry, the Chicks, right? They got canceled, but they were still able to make music and thing. Janet Jackson was canceled. She was able to make music, not to the extent and the popularity that she had. Like when they say like cancel, right? Canceling is you're not able to make as much money as you could have. For people who are like rich people, the real people that get canceled are the Joe Schmoes who can't get a job at all, right? People who like are no better than a person getting out of prison and is on parole that can't get a job anywhere, right? And for the most part, you can mostly, if you don't have a criminal record, you can change your name and move to a different place, right? So, like, compare that to being killed, or more recently, I forget the philosopher or the speaker, the book reader who just got stabbed multiple times on stage, right? I think a canceling is better than being attacked in public and stabbed multiple times, right?
Right. Well, I guess like
those are the two options.
Two options, Jeff.
Right.
Only two options in Hollywood nowadays.
Yeah, like I guess because as soon as this information is going around the house, obviously like all the house guests don't want to have anything to do with them. Even Alyssa, not quite sure how she reacts.
Get to spoilers.
Yeah, we'll get to the spoiler section. We don't even get to see the veto meeting again. For like
the veto meeting isn't really important because once people you're gonna have a clear sense of it should be a short turnaround between the house meeting, the veto, and the vote, I think, because it's two options: either Kyle's going on the block or he's not,
right?
Because nothing else was discussed.
Yeah, I like the veto episode. I wouldn't mind seeing a veto meeting. That's all I'm saying.
Logistics, Dave.
That's all I'm saying. Because tomorrow there's a lot to fit in, right?
But you change the format so people stick to the end. They don't fast forward, right? Yeah. But at the same time, Turner's hands are tied. What is he to do? What is his option?
Put Monty up.
And what's the logistics of that? Right? Put Terrence up. What's the logistics of that? Put Alyssa up. Why? What did she do? How does that?
Yeah, and why keep Kyle safe?
Yes, right. It's like, look, Turner has his hands tied in this situation, and he's kind of like he's backed into a corner.
Yeah, but he hates Michael and Brittany. He's like, screw them,
which is good because, like, folks. Please note, I don't like Kyle. I didn't like Kyle even before this, right? But I knew this was going on. I didn't treat Kyle any different. I just was reporting what was being said on the internet, right? This was known weeks ago. We talked about this episodes ago, right? And we were able to move on because we discussed it. But they didn't.
Geometry just isn't my strong suit.
You're right. It's because it festered, it boiled, and then now it's erupting into this thing that's like, completely destroyed Kyle's game. which is a shame because he was playing very well and he was doing really good in the game. And it's kind of sad to see this because I think he was like dragging Alyssa to like at least Final Four. You know?
Like that woman was being dragged.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
And
wow.
Michael couldn't have it. He will not have this man stand in the way of his dream. Okay. There's a thing here in this episode here, even like leading up to the veto meeting, guys, like, or sorry, the veto, when they're picking the players for the veto competition, I mean. And like Michael says something that I think is very true of his character, who he is and how he's playing this game. Because if he, you know, he's like, I need to get picked, because you know, on the thing here, where is it?
I don't want to get picked. I need to.
I don't want to get picked for the veto. I have to get picked for the veto.
Right. And I think that that's Michael doesn't want to play and win Big Brother. Michael has to win Big Brother.
Yeah.
And he will not be stopped. So
yeah, he's a sociopath player. There's been a lot of them. And they usually do well. You know,
I don't think he's winning.
Yeah. I say well because a lot of the times they get to like the Final Four or Final Five and then they get axed.
What will be the fate of
which is
Michael?
not a bad path to be on, like, because if you were a dominant player like you, like he was, he's coming back.
Yeah, like look at Janelle, right? Like Janelle is a lot like him, actually.
He models himself after Janelle.
Right. So, you know,
Yeah.
Janelle didn't win.
Yeah, Janelle didn't win, but Janelle also wouldn't have sat on it too. She would have blown that up sky high.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I agree. Like that's kind of the problem with this day, like this cast, the way they're operating in the Big Brother house now, because you're right. Like they don't address things right away anymore. It's just everything festers and then it
blows up.
Blows up like
but
this.
There's not a lot of good, honest conversations between the people who have beef, right? And on that note,
WWJD, what would Janelle do?
I won the first power veto.
I just gotta say this. Both Kyle and Michael are both playing such similar games too. Like they're both just as cutthroat as each other. And like you saw tonight with Michael, like Kyle was like gloating, like Michael, we're getting you out, and like he had him dead. I'm telling you, he had him dead to rights.
Yeah,
you know, he had him in his crosshairs with two different alliances. He was going to get him out. Turner was HOH. It was perfect. And then he pulls this race card thing, and I'm not saying I shouldn't have brought it up, but to me, it's so icky. I can't respect the move. I can't look at Michael as a good player, Big Brother anymore. It's ruined me watching him as a player because I know he will do anything to just win, and it's I don't really respect that.
Actually, we do like that people are willing to do anything, but there also is a time and place for everything, and that wasn't the time or place. Here, Michael's legacy is he did a great job to guarantee himself a second place victory.
So you don't think he can come back from this? This is going to sort of.
Why would you vote for him? If I'm any of the people on the thing, it doesn't matter. Like unless it's Alyssa or Terrence, and then I would have to think twice too. Like Terrence, if he made it there, maybe he did something that stabilizes his why I would consider him to win. But Alyssa, let's say she gets dragged all the way, I would have to pick Michael. But other than that, I would vote for anyone. I would
Michael and Brittany.
I would vote for Brittany.
Well, Brittany's as guilty of what Michael's guilty of here. Like it's not like he's.
But what is the perception? Who is Palpatine and who is Darth Maul?
Right.
I guess they're both guilty, so then it's going to come down to who deserves to win. I don't think Brittany beats Michael in the final two after this.
I think Brittany has a much better social game than Michael's social game is as bad as Kyle's gaming, his competition game. I think they are the perfect player, but just opposites in regard. Michael is right? Kyle is really good in this social game, right? Only won 2 competitions. Michael is dominant in competitions, right? They're like mirrored sides, and Kyle got the upper hand because Michael overplayed, right? And then Michael Michael threw the pocket sand in Kyle's eye. Basically what he did.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree.
Let me ask you this: during Dire Fest, should Kyle have maybe seen this coming, or was it so far out of his mind he wasn't even thinking about it anymore? Like,
it was totally out his what he you can tell from this episode.
Yeah.
What he felt was an innocent concept that he thought. It was a bias that he had, right? Yeah. His bias was incorrect and can be hurtful, but the same way that Brittany was like, no, and like kind of, right. Bring him down. They could have said, dude. They could have said, seriously, dude, no. Okay, what you're thinking of is absolutely messed up. Don't repeat it. Right? You're wrong.
You ever said this? Right? This conversation never took place. Let's move on. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. They could have shut that down. But they wanted to play loosey goosey and have Kyle as a backup plan so that they can play the middle of the house, right? That's what people are gonna look back and see about this season, right? Yeah. And that's why, like, it might get. I don't think they're gonna get. Michael's gonna be awarded a victory.
Because Michael here says if I go, but he wouldn't have forgiven himself if he had gone home this week and not used this information. So
but Dave, he won the veto. He had the power. He
had the bullet in the chamber. He was like, "I'm going to use it anyway." I think in his mind, I've already said this out loud. I'm going to. I have to go through with it, or I look even worse.
If you're Taylor, it's not like you guys were in a tight alliance, a threesome, and he didn't tell you. He didn't tell you at all. He didn't hint to it.
He hid this to protect Kyle. Why? Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah,
like, come on.
It also yes, it seemed like Kyle was pushing it like a few times, like when they were hanging out, like he was pushing like, oh, okay, like we do this like you, me, Alyssa, Brittany, and we'll bring Turner in, right? Because I think like I said to Dave earlier, it was like he feared that in the leftovers that it was basically going to end up being Joseph with Taylor for sure, and then they would bring in Monty, and then and they could have Jasmine, and they could have he saw that they could have a side of the house that he couldn't be a part of, and I think that's what he was referring to, and I don't think that's necessarily wrong because I could see how he was viewing the house,
And you're sitting around all day, every day, 24/7 for weeks with nothing to do but speculate about this person could go with this person could work with that, and
what happened last season, what could happen this season, and
especially coming off of the Cookout season, I think that this is. I always knew
that coming off the Cookout season, there was gonna be that conversation and that thought process, and people would pay for it. But like the way that this group played, they did not give any hints of working together because the cast genuinely does not like each other. My issue, Kyle's gameplay, even though his social game has been pretty good, I should say really good, was the mistakes he made in terms of, even with that thought process, why wasn't Alyssa part of the leftovers? Made no sense whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
If he felt that he needed someone to be at his side to watch his back because Brittany had Kyle, supposedly Taylor had Taylor, Monty had Taylor, right? And he possibly had Turner-ish. Why didn't he have Alyssa there?
Who, Kyle?
Yes.
Because at the time he wasn't sold if like he wanted to be with Alyssa. He was kind of an option for him.
With her. He was physically with her.
It was because Alyssa was associated with the girls that were hating on Taylor.
It was also that because the leftovers was kind of a counter to that, but he kind of played both sides of it, right?
That was why though, because Alyssa was with like, what was her name, Amira. She was with, Paloma like before that,
was with them too.
Yeah, and don't forget about this, guys.
Joseph telling me that Alyssa might have a situationship outside of the show kind of hits me. Dude, can't be doing this. Like, get away from me.
right? Like he's not always been 100% in on Alyssa, right? And I think that that's also part of the reason she wasn't in the leftovers.
But he went all in on her prior to Dire Week.
Yes, he had changed his tune by later on, right? But there's been sort of this chronology with Kyle, right? I guess, and how he's who he's working with, and
why didn't he bring up to the pound? It's like, hey, Michael and Brittany are too big of a threat. We need to bolster our side. Why don't we get Alyssa? Alyssa can control Jasmine and Indy, right? And we have additional people just in case to take out Michael and Brittany. Like, I feel like I feel like what we're seeing here is bias and a little bit of bad gameplay that is just snowballed, right? And it does kind of tarnish the season. Like, so I've been trying to reconcile. I'm like, what would have happened if Kyle, Brittany and Michael didn't say anything?
Yeah, Monty probably would have went up. They said it in the episode.
But even past that, let's say Michael wins, and it happens at the end of the episode, at the end of the season, and then it's revealed about what Kyle said.
Okay.
Right? How big of an issue is it?
Not that big, I think.
Is it a big issue? I think it's going to be like, I was wrong, luckily nothing came of it, but I was wrong, kind of situation. And then Taylor, Monty, Terrence, Joseph, Indy, Jasmine might be angry at Michael for not saying anything, Michael and Brittany, right? But once again, that is an A-B conversation, right? Where they can express that issues with themselves, right? Because Big Brother CBS had no intention of showing any of this until push came to shove, because it did not.
There was no way they could not show this, especially with after this big house
now.
Meeting. The big, like, what the house meeting that we're yet to see is like is going to be a big event in like the story of this season, right?
The edit tonight, guys, was definitely made to make me hate Michael, and it worked.
Yeah, you think it was designed to I don't know, I guess like I think you have to look at Michael as a bit of a weasel in how he went about this.
Big Brother Twitter does not like Michael at all.
No, Twitter's against Michael.
Because it's a scumbag move. Like, yes, Kyle, like this is really the problem with society today, right? In general. It isn't just the people who are racist bigots and everything. It's the people who stand on the sideline, and then when it's time to cash in, they're all in. They're like, yeah, he's wrong, and points fingers and everything like that.
Yeah.
Right? But when people are dealing with the issue, they're on the sidelines. It doesn't involve me.
Yeah.
Right? And
that's
holding
exactly the sign, And, that's what's so gross about this move by Michael for me. Like, that's because he's using it to get closer to the money, that he's winning all the vetoes anyway. He's crushing the game. And he'd rather do this dirty move to make himself look better, make Kyle look awful.
To save Taylor?
No, not to save Taylor.
Well, yeah, because, like, if Monty and Taylor are going up, right, they're most likely going to get rid of Taylor.
So you think that's why he did this?
I think he
thought about that. Like,
he wanted to get Kyle out. Because
Monty,
once Taylor's gone and Monty's supposedly on the other side, right? It is 2 versus 5, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot to come back from that.
We got a comment here from Candace. She's saying, I hope Terrence calls Michael and Brittany out on this. Terrence has to see that Michael and Brittany are using this to get a ride of Kyle, right? Like to throw him under the bus.
Get rid of Kyle.
So get rid of him. So what that Kyle referred to the cookout. So what if Kyle referred to the cookout? The cookout was genius. Michael and Brittany are playing a BS game. If they were so bothered by Kyle's comments, why didn't they use it 3 weeks ago? This makes me not want to watch Big Brother ever again.
I mean, you still watch it. I mean, it's just this dumb show about knuckleheads in the house.
Was there any, like, Big Brother Canada 10 just came out? there was a whole lot of POCs. Lot of POCs.
Yeah.
Right? Did we hear anything about a cookout situation occurring?
No.
Right? Even if it did, do you think it would have impacted the game?
Potentially, but not really. No.
It depends, but probably not. It probably wouldn't most of the time.
But who would it affected? Do you think Kevin?
It would have affected Kevin, I guess, the most, because he would be the non-POC of them, right?
Yeah, but Kevin was
he was the winner of the
bouncing
season.
from alliances to alliances. It didn't matter. He was in POC alliances majority of the time.
Oh, sure. But if he was to be targeted by such a I guess if one happened in Big Brother Canada 10 specifically, then he would be the person. It would affect the game in that way, and that he probably would have been targeted more heavily.
I think Kevin would have still won. I think Kevin, he played a social game as great as Michael's playing a competition game, and with the amount of information he knew about people and how personally he got with people throughout the game, I never really saw him play as underhanded as we were seeing. We saw with Michael and Brittany doing.
Yeah. Kevin didn't even come close to this.
And even with the cookout before, right? Did it seem malicious? Not really, right? No. I think I was really hoping that we weren't going to get something like this, right? The season would play out, whoever would win, and everyone would be like, the cookout was something that happened. It was just a spur situation that occurred, and right, just like a wave, it came and it went, right? Right? Doors open. You know, people can feel less pressure about teaming up so that they can get a specific result. They can play their own game. And unfortunately, we got what we got here through not just from Kyle, but also Michael and Brittany as the culprits.
Yeah.
I think people, like, when people are talking about the situation, it's not one person's name. It's all three people's names that needs to be mentioned.
Right. Good point. So a lot of good things, guys, here. I know we want to get to the spoilers. I feel like there's a lot in the episode we haven't talked about yet. Namely, can we talk about Terrence as the host of this veto competition? I just
looking fly.
Nothing goes better with date night than Bros Rosé.
Bros Rosé, if you will, guys. No,
he doesn't seem that comfortable at the hosting. You'd think he'd be really good at it because he's like a karaoke host, like
he needs his stand and his microphone right there in front of him. He didn't have his hat on. He's like Samson.
Right. Have we talked enough about Billy Eichner and the other guy in this Bros movie? Jamil.
I'm actually interested in seeing this movie.
It looks smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to watch it for two reasons. I want to watch it twice, actually. I want to watch the movie and I want to watch people's reactions to this movie. Because I'm sure someone's going to get dragged and not really know what this movie is about. And then the first time guy goes in for a kiss, you're just going to see like the... Because you
think there's some girlfriends are going to take their boyfriends or husbands,
it's rated R, so I wonder where the movie goes.
Yeah, what makes it rated R specifically is kind of what I'm wondering about.
The amount of male nudity that's already been in Apatow movies, like it's fair game, honestly.
Yeah. This is the Judd Apatow movie. Good point, Jamil, because we see in once they get to the competition itself. There's all of these all of these Judd Apatow movie posters all around. We got
why are they showing Trainwrecked?
Knocked Up. We got Neighbors. We got different movies. Alyssa says these are the best movies she's ever seen, or these are all the best movies.
That tracks so well. It tracks so well with her.
Well, yes, fitting.
And the actual slip and slide itself, guys, with a rainbow theme to go along with the gay rom-com. It was good. I liked this. It was like nice how they all had their lanes and the different colors. This worked really well. Much like the Trivial Debates logo. What are the other movies? They got 40-year-old
Trivial Debates logo is basically a
rainbow
pride flag.
No, it's a circular. It's more of a circle than a flag. But yeah. Yeah, and so this this is always a good competition. This is a classic competition, and I always enjoy it. But there's a couple things that came true in this one that have held true historically. I mean, one is that if you're the tallest, you have a great chance of winning this competition. Michael goes on to win this competition. Two, if going for like the larger scoop, I think most of the time does not necessarily get you the win. I think just going for the original tank, filling that up first and getting your ball at first is the better way to go, because even though you might come close with that bigger scoop, I've never seen somebody actually come back and win that thing.
Also, look at Michael's fingers. Michael has Slender Man fingers.
Right. They also talk about like the ability of like how much you spill on the way down, right? And sometimes like in some years they've had like thicker stuff. Sometimes this is more of like a syrup, or like a barbecue sauce or whatever kind of consistency. This was just like straight up water, colored water. It looked like, right? Yeah. The brose. You know,
I didn't want to clean up barbecue sauce anymore.
Sure.
Well, the barbecue sauce, yeah, was something else. But yeah, like we've got a good shot here of like you only have like this little wine glass here to transport the fluid in this case, right? And your ability to sort of like cup it and like save as many drops as you can and reduce the number of trips you have to do is like your best chance of winning too here, right? Like, you know, obviously you want to fall as little as possible. You want to lose as less time.
Look at what Monty's wearing. Why would you wear something like that to slip and slide?
What would you wear?
Well, not those pants.
Because you get ruined?
No, because you're going to be freezing cold.
You'd be cold. He's underdressed?
Yeah, look at what Turner is wearing.
He's got more like a sweatpants on. Yeah. Alyssa's wearing some kind of yoga pants, it appears. I hadn't really thought about that necessarily. Yeah, this
falls on you. Who's wringing out their shirt a lot easier, Turner or Monty?
I guess Turner.
Yeah, because it's a button-up versus.
Yeah, they're all wearing kind of like button-up shirts. Like, look at what Michael's wearing here. Just a green shirt, pants. Not that unlike what Monty's wearing. Anyway, so they're filling this thing up. There's kind of like a competition, a race a little bit here.
Polo more. It looks like a polo.
Yeah. I wasn't so worried about what they were wearing in this competition per se, but just like, you know, I do like this competition. I think it's a classic. Usually an HOH competition, but this time a veto.
They switched it. Tiny veto and then slip and slide.
Right.
So
Tiny HOH.
How different that would have been if Michael won. He couldn't win HOH, so Turner would have won. Turner would have won this.
Yeah,
too.
Michael, he did this for all the queer kids and everything else and such, right? He says here at the end, and then he gets to take 3 people actually to the movie. Guys, he chooses like Alyssa, who's very happy with this.
Oh my gosh,
she gets to go see Bros. Taylor gets to go to, and I think that's my last shot.
And
but
Brittany?
guys,
I assume Brittany, right?
Turner.
No, Turner was the other person he took.
Oh, okay. Brittany doesn't go to the movies.
No.
Yeah, no, Brittany. Oh yeah, and Turner himself here. Hey, I get to go. So yeah, they
Who
go
would you
up.
Taken?
If I was Michael,
yeah.
I think who he picked was fine. I don't know if he needed to change up who he picked. It was just fun to see their reactions. You know, they got all kinds of treats here, guys. They got Tostitos. They got Reese's things. They got Pop Shop.
Mike and Ike's.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Caramel corn. It was quite the scene here. They get to. I don't know. When I saw the movie, it didn't look bad. They have to, whether they like it or not, they have to sell it. So it's
it's the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah,
I would just love this. Like, this movie sucked.
Yeah, it might be good, it might not. I have no real idea. Like, I didn't.
Dire Fest.
I didn't get. I did laugh here, sort of at the end, where these guys come over and because they think there's a fight going on, and then they're like, oh, they're making out. Cool, man. Like, so that was a good little gag there for the end. Yeah. I thought. Yeah, because I don't know. Like, this is kind of like when they had the Dear Evan Hansen on last season, right? That was kind of this moment.
Remember that movie and how well that movie did? Oh, good times.
Right.
What do you mean, Jamil? It was platinum. It was a fast hit.
Oh, that movie got Kyled.
I'm looking right outside my window.
There's a conversation right here. Waving through the window. Yeah. Anyway, and Michael and right after that, Michael and Brittany have a meeting just to talk about how we got nothing left to lose. We have to tell Taylor and Monty this, right? Because I feel like they think I think they also sense they're losing Monty in sort of like because he is playing the middle, as we know from the episode, and that that they want to pull him back in. So I think but they don't care about having Terrence. They want, Terrence is expendable. So I think you're right. It does kind of show the whole, it's transparent how shallow, I guess, it really is.
Jamil, I was saying to Dave, like they tell Monty and Taylor, and like Michael makes a big deal of like, oh, they understand, they're directly involved, I think is what he says.
Yeah.
And I said to Dave, I'm like, how is Terrence not directly involved?
So Monty tells Terrence, but what we don't see is that Terrence was like, wait, Michael and Brittany are trying to build an all-white alliance? So he totally misheard what Monty was
saying. He totally doesn't understand what's actually happening.
Which, of course, made me laugh.
Right.
But yeah, that's part of the spoilerish section.
Jamil, what about why is Terrence not in that initial meeting?
Because they don't like Terrence.
Yes. That is the exact.
And there's a good quote here where I don't know who says this, if it's Brittany or Michael, but if there's anybody that can act on the information, it's the two of you, they say to them.
These are our black friends, so we're asking them to do something to help us.
And Terrence isn't our friend.
He
thinks we're building the all-white alliance.
Yeah. Why don't you tell Turner?
Yeah, or Kyle.
Yeah, there's definitely some.
Remember, they didn't tell Kyle because they wanted to hit him with the whammy. That's why.
Well, I know why, but yeah.
But I mean, like
Alyssa's reaction.
She's like, "Oh no, I just slept with a racist." I say that in terms of what she perceives people will say. Don't worry, Sam. What you mentioned, it's all in the notes.
I don't know if she's moving to Utah now.
Don't make us go back to our liberal city home with tales of prejudice and bigotry from in the heart of Utah.
from which side?
It's on Bob Strike Back. Okay. When they're dealing with Judd Nelson. I was like, I knew this was coming tonight, and I was like, I thought Utah
prepared you all for it.
I was like, I knew this was coming. I thought we would get the House meeting tonight, but we had to wait.
I thought so too.
Right? I just like all these reactions. They tell Turner, he's like, no, this is no good. The optics of this are bad. Yes, you're right.
Nope. My rug business, my poor rug business.
Yeah, go check out my rug business.
That's the best way to put it, I think. Alyssa too. It's like, you're right. Oh no, everyone's going to be perceiving that I was with this racist.
Like, a lot of these people don't care about, like, they care how it looks.
Yeah.
Right, because that's when the whole thing with Taylor to start off this season, that she was being bullied and they were treating her very badly, and then once they felt like the production hinted enough to them that they were being labeled as bullies, that was definitely something they didn't want, right? But it wasn't that they felt bad about how they were treating her per se, right?
Monty is the one that is repeatedly apologized, like over and over and over again. She's kind of like, it's like you've apologized. I got it. Right? And even how the way that Taylor plays because she's like I want to be accepted. That's why she's coming up with this elaborate like plans that make no sense, right? Terrence is playing freely, and that's pure Terrence, what you see in there. But Terrence isn't one to talk. The insults he's thrown Taylor's way and continues to do so. On a stroll, how she's some bougie woman from like.
Well, don't forget that Big D and Tiffany and Big D and most of the other cookout members hated him, right? Like, so it wasn't necessarily that they were all friends in the alliance too, but yeah.
Sure. I want to get to these spoilers.
Okay, let's get to the spoilers. We end with here. Okay, there's this conversation. So we talk about the Brittany and Michael telling Turner, and then like we see here, Kyle is talking to Alyssa about it. I think that this is where she kind of lays this on him. He's like, "Oh my God, what do you like?" He immediately understands like the significance of this and the gravity of it. Even though he's not like an expert in geometry.
Geometry just isn't my strong suit.
Right. But it's kind of like
I honestly think like once he found this out, what Kyle should have done was said like, I want to have like a house meeting with everybody, and said like, yeah, like okay, Michael and Brittany are bringing this up, and just explained it as like, yeah, like I thought maybe there was like a new cookout forming, and it was just an idea that I had. I think if he had just explained it to them,
wait for the meeting. Just wait for the meeting.
Jeff. He tries to go talk to Turner here, Jeff, and Turner's like,
"Nuh-uh.
No." Right. So it's just interesting how quickly people are scurrying away here, and we get like the testimonials heading to the house, but which I already kind of played. Okay, we can get into the spoilers, guys.
I'm not going to talk about the house meeting though.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to talk about post-house meeting.
Taylor with her lays.
The lays?
Yeah.
Stop it with the lays.
Just stop it with the lays. Are you taking to me finale?
Don't talk to me.
Yeah. Just stop.
Until they finish this bag.
Stop. From this point on, just stop.
With the lays?
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Taylor. Okay, guys.
The protein shakers left outside. Yuck. Yeah, put that in the fridge or empty it out, man. That's just
it's gross. All right, guys, we're getting into spoilers. We're going to talk about this house meeting and what we can expect coming out of these nominations at the post-veto meeting. Is Kyle in trouble? It seems like. All right, let's find out. If you don't want to know, come back tomorrow night. We'll be on 10:30 Eastern to react to the this eviction, maybe an HOH. We'll see how things play out, but I think we're heading into week 9. There's a lot of intrigue in this season, a lot more that I think that can happen. All right, everybody, let's get into it.
This is okay. I'm like, you're being a little bit liberal doing it late.
Yeah, well, it takes me a second to like. I have to go to a different.
I know. When I was on the ones and twos, I understand your plight.
Yeah, it's not always user friendly, the controls. Okay. Anyway, so I'm
not going to talk about the meeting because a good portion of the meeting was not shown on the feed. So,
but we'll get to see it tomorrow night, and so I guess we can talk about that more in the episode tomorrow night. But I guess what's the fallout from the meeting?
So Terrence did call out Michael and Brittany during the house meeting.
Damn straight,
right? About when these details came to light and why they decided to do it now.
How convenient.
Yeah, how convenient. So Kyle is basically screwed. Kyle, in the meeting, basically laid out his entire game, revealed every single secret, like what he did during Dire Week, his final 2 with Turner, everything that he did. He laid it all out there, right? So his game is...
But how many did he burn all the other games in the process?
Turner was like, "Thanks, bro, for talking about my final 2. I know Terrence is going to trust me very much."
Right,
right. So aftermath. So Terrence, he went to Monty and he's like, we could keep Kyle and use the extra, week as a way for him to, get more understanding and come to terms with the situation. To which Monty's like, what? What? Time to heal and like reconciliate? It's like, no, no, none of that. Which I kind of have to agree with. Like, look, if you're keeping him and you're keeping him for game, say that you're keeping him for game. Don't try this foolishness and reconciliation. You don't work in PR, Terrence. Okay, stop it. Okay,
DJ Showtime.
The only thing Kyle didn't blow up was the after party.
I thought he did. The reports say that he did.
Okay,
but
we'll see. We'll see.
I do. Mary and me usually on the same page, so I'm not talking about the meeting. I'm talking about the aftermath of the meeting.
Mary's a reliable source.
She is a reliable source. People are yelling upstairs and it's messing me up. So Monty and Turner feel that Terrence's reasoning for keeping Kyle is BS, right? And it's just
so you're saying that the actual veto, like the renom, happened, right?
Yeah, Kyle's on the block.
Kyle's on the block next to Taylor.
Of course, because why would Michael take Taylor down?
And Terrence wants to keep working with Kyle here. He wants to keep the after party going. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if Kyle wanted to form an all white side of the house 3 weeks ago. What does he care anymore? He's in an alliance now with Kyle.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm just saying. Like I don't think that Terrence is above this. He's like, I could never work with someone.
But if Terrence had won instead of Turner, Kyle would not have hit the block.
Right. Well, how close we almost came to like Michael not even playing in this veto at all. It would have been Kyle in the veto instead.
Kyle almost won this HOH. He was very close, like twice with the little tiny cans.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And if he had this information, probably would. I don't know if Michael would have brought it out specifically now.
No, he would have sat on it another week and then used it the next week, probably.
Which by then, I don't know. But
so
what about Alyssa?
Hold on. I'm getting there. Monty also questions Mike using the veto on Brittany. So supposedly Taylor had a very impassioned speech that she did during the veto meeting. Hey, people using a veto meeting to not do shout outs and actually talk to things, and still use it on Brittany. So Monty questions that as well. So Alyssa and Kyle break up, and the way that Alyssa kind of says it is that she kind of explains that she doesn't know if she can trust him because it doesn't seem like he fights for her, which is like, wait, what?
And I was like, where was your the whole episode? I was like, she was just like, oh, okay, the guy want to have babies with apparently is this closet racist or something, like, and she's just, okay,
yeah, and more mad about the Turner final two than having different views than Kyle.
Well, I guess they'll always have Paris, or is it London, France?
Right.
London, France.
Let's wait on that. So Alyssa tell Kyle that there might be something that he could do for her in the game, and she told Kyle to tell Terrence that Terrence told Brittany and Michael that Kyle was the one who exposed leftovers, and she doesn't want them to find out that she knew about it. So she doesn't want people to know, right, that she found out about the leftovers. Okay?
But Monty already knows.
Exactly.
That was already revealed. We didn't even talk about that. That happened in the episode tonight too.
Exactly. But Alyssa's trying to keep her hands clean. She does not want.
There's only like going to be 7 people left after
so
this.
Here's the thing. Brittany knows that Alyssa knows, because like the moment that they came back in the house, Alyssa started grilling Brittany about like, are you lying to me about anything? And Brittany's immediately after is like, she knows. Can I just tell her? And Michael and Brittany were talking to Kyle and like, I think we just need to come clean about the leftovers at this point, because it seems like almost everyone knows. And Kyle was like, no, I don't think you should tell her, right? And she obviously knows, right? That's why everyone was able to suss out that Kyle was like, what happened outside in Direfest doesn't match up. Monty found out about it because he was also told as well from Turner, right? And the way that Kyle and Alyssa were acting, right? All their stories lining up, it just seemed very false. Anyways, I'm going to keep it with Alyssa and Kyle because the conversation continues. So she breaks up with him, and then a couple of hours later, she's flirting with him again.
She can't quit Kyle. Come on.
She asked Kyle if she could tell the house guests that they had sex, to which Kyle says he doesn't want her to do that because it would lead to questions about how good it was. I wish that was going to be the episode.
At least he's self-aware.
He's self-aware. It was the greatest 10 seconds of my life.
At least he doesn't think he's like a stud.
What? So really, like he's like, no, you can't tell them because then they're gonna say, was he good? And you're gonna have to tell them I wasn't, because he knows. Like yeah. That's Wow.
So Turner and Monty are going to be making a strong push to Taylor to try to make her snap out of it, to make her realize that she's the third in that alliance with Michael and Brittany, right? Michael keeps showing that Brittany's in his number 2 repeatedly, right? Yeah. So Taylor needs to realize, stop being so like loyal. You need to drop Michael, and that's one of Monty's issues. Is like they want me to team up with them, but I'm going to be fourth in a third person, like in a third person alliance, and Taylor's going to be the next one right after me. No, so how does that make any sense?
There's no at this point. Well, I think after this episode and this move here by Michael, it's a different game a little bit. But I think leading up to this, Michael's game was so squeaky clean that, what's the benefit? Well, just in the sense that he didn't have a lot of flaws to it, and he was winning a lot of vetoes, and he would win at the end against most of them, right? I thought.
True, but I think that the whole Direfest thing showed that it wasn't squeaky clean, right? Especially coming back into the house like that. If it was squeaky clean and he was as good with everyone that he thought he was, Turner wouldn't have turned like that, right?
Okay, Monty
wouldn't have turned like that.
But but what I'm just saying about Michael here is that teaming up with Michael, if you're like a Monty, is I don't think there's enough benefit there. I think he's too much of a competitor. He's too hard to beat in these competitions. Obviously, Monty's not beating him most of the time, and so, or any of the times that I can remember. So, like, you want to target Michael, not team.
I think you have to play the middle with Michael and be on his side as he's winning, and the moment that he loses, you turn it on him and you vote him out.
Mary says Monty's overplaying right now.
That's the only way Monty knows how to play.
Yeah, that's how Monty
is. The thing. These people are terrible players, like Monty, Joseph, all terrible players. All terrible players. They made Kyle is amazing in comparison to these folks. Kyle played really competent game outside of one. No, sorry, it wasn't one. Multiple terrible conversations. But the rest of it, like he strung Alyssa along, and Alyssa was loyal to him, right? Despite any rational person's thought process, right? Any rational person. Alyssa should have dropped Kyle. Alyssa should have turned on Kyle a long time ago, and that would have been her winning move, right?
She couldn't even stay away from Kyle for a few hours after she broke up.
I know, but like if people know how enraptured and charmed you are with some person, and you vote them out, people will appreciate Like that's your big move, which isn't really a big move.
Right, but what about their career on Amazing Race?
I don't know why Kyle is asking me about all these European countries. He should know by now that I'm not the one to ask. If Kyle and I are going to end up on Amazing Race one day, we really need to study our geography because I don't think we stand a chance right now.
No.
It's a longer one. And Michael is about to turn on. Michael was already going to turn on Monty, like one way or the other. Like, you know.
Mary, I didn't include the condom part.
Condom.
So Mary has a comment. It's there in my notes. I just didn't mention it.
So
I'll read Mary's statement. It's the one before.
This was a sexless
so
hour.
Alyssa wanted to tell because Brittany said this was a sexless hour because no condoms were used.
I don't understand.
There's no sex happening in the Big Brother house because no condoms were used, and Alyssa wanted to tell. Because Taylor said that. It's like, en contraire, mon frère.
They have been used.
No.
Oh, they're no condom users. They're barebacking, if you will. All right. Well, you know, that's how they do
They're
it.
raw dogging it.
They're raw dogging it. That's how they do it in the Florida Keys. But yeah.
So Michael and Turner and Monty have a pretty good, clear idea as to what the hierarchy is, and that is clearly Terrence. After Kyle goes, it would be Terrence, it'd be Alyssa, it'd be Turner, Monty, Taylor, Brittany, and then Michael winning at the end.
Yeah. Michael is basically the Terminator at this point, and you have to defeat him.
But he can't win. Big Brother is built in a way that you can't Mike Holloway it. You can't.
Why?
He is though doing it. He is doing it.
We're down to final 7. He'll get to play in every veto here on out.
He can't win every veto. He's not going to win every veto.
Why? Who's his competition?
I don't think it's mathematically possible that he's going to win every single veto.
It's unlikely. It's not like, yeah, it's unlikely, but it's unlikely that like some team can come back from being down 3 games to nothing and come back to win 7 or 4-3 in a set. But it happens, right? And I think that if there's somebody who could do this, I think Michael is a good candidate for somebody who could just win every veto until the end.
Like if Turner went home next week, I would see Michael winning most of the vetoes.
There's too many carnival games. There's too many carnival games that come up. I just can't believe it that he's going to win every single one.
Well, it will be a feat if he does it for sure. I'm not saying that he has this in the bag, but I think there's a potential there. And or maybe Brittany wins if he doesn't win, and then he's safe anyway, right? So there's all kinds of
the pressure is going to be on Brittany because you're going to be talking to Brittany the entire time. It's like if you don't put him up, right, and you have this shot, and he doesn't win veto, you're not winning this game. I'm making sure the jury knows, right, and you're not winning.
Yeah, I think if you're like, it doesn't matter if you're Turner or whoever. I think like you can try to be like good with Michael, but he's coming for your head one way or the other. Eventually, you all need to come for his.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
is how they have to be thinking.
Yep, I would agree.
While playing nice in the sandbox. All right, what else, Jamil?
No, that's
it.
Everyone, tomorrow's episode. Tomorrow's episode.
We're coming up an hour 20, so we do need to wrap it up for tonight.
And I have roasting chicken in the oven that I was working with.
I too have roasting duck in the oven.
Yes,
roast duck.
Mashed potatoes and carrots roasting as well with some oil.
Carrots. I have steamed carrots upstairs. It's for the baby, but I have.
You don't like carrots, Jeff.
For the
baby.
It's for the baby. The baby likes carrots.
Well, she doesn't know. She never had them yet, but can I get them tomorrow?
Gonna get them tomorrow. Okay, 6 months. All right. Well, guys, we're gonna get out of here. A lot going on. This season continues to not disappoint. I gotta tell you,
it is a season.
It's a season. I think we're gonna remember it. Maybe tomorrow we'll get some look at the jury house, guys, and we'll get to see what's going on with Indy and Jasmine and Joseph.
Did Joseph just like? I got to do some sit-ups before this picture.
Yes.
Sad.
Yeah, no, he does sit-ups to punish himself for losing.
Yeah, he just head down.
Jasmine purposely standing like that so we can't see her other leg?
Yeah, well, she doesn't want to. Is that the ankle that was injured though? That she's standing on?
Is Indy a person of color?
She's from Brazil.
Okay.
So,
like, it's a stretch. For the record. Okay. Well, I'm as someone who's not a person of color, you get to decide who's in the club. I guess.
I'm wondering.
More than I do. So
she might be half. Like, she might be like, just because you're from Brazil doesn't mean you definitely are a person of color, right?
Are you saying because she's so light?
Well, no, she has blonde hair.
So doesn't mean anything.
Oh.
You ever heard of the natural Butch Reed?
Like, she could be like Argentina's like mostly white people. You know what I mean? Like,
she's from Brazil though. She's
right.
Of Portuguese descent, presumably. It depends, I guess, but like I guess not like English white. You know,
it's just a question. I was. It's not as
we could have a whole episode.
It's just as clear as Alyssa last year. You know.
Because Alyssa, and her mother's white and her father is Hispanic, so it's like I guess you can call her mixed. So
AKA a POC,
right?
But kind of a hidden POC, like you know,
hidden, a subtle one. It's like
Mary's on the no train.
Yeah.
She says no. Indy is not.
She's not. She's voting down Indy on. I also, if I had to say such things,
there are white people in South America. They exist.
Yeah. Argentina,
Jamaicans. You know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I guess it depends also about how you identify.
Yeah, I know. That's why I never heard her talk about that on the show. So.
Yeah.
All I heard her talk about was sex and flying around.
If Indy and Kyle go into a job interview and they have the same skills, Kyle has the advantage.
Right.
Really? Okay. All right. Well,
Indy has the accent too, right? So there's also.
I'd hire Indy. I mean, she's hilarious.
She I would too.
See, that's why I would work with you, Jeff. That's why I would work with you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. She's going to be like a great sex.
The whole house knows that I'm a sex coach.
The whole house.
She loves horses.
Yeah, I think she's gonna have no problem getting hired.
See, Kyle, you idiot! Why did you vote out Indy? Indy could have helped you in terms of your.
If she's okay, but to your earlier point, if she's applying to become a sex coach against Kyle, I think she'll get the job over Kyle.
Very true.
That's true.
Yeah. Just depends on what you're going for.
Like I nailed the interview, but on the practical, I finished too soon. I got an F.
He should have kept Indy around just to like, so she could have like, you know, sat and watched.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Can you help me at Alyssa, Indy? You know,
put him on a training regiment.
Right? Yeah.
There's a whole montage.
It's like horseback riding.
I love horses. I do.
I love horses. Anyway, so I don't know. Maybe we'll get some jury segment tomorrow night. We'll see. All right, let's get out of here, guys. Great night. We'll see you tomorrow night after the eviction. Not looking good for Kyle at this point.
Kyle is gone.
Kyle's gone. Let's move on to next week. Let's move on to week 9, guys, and see what else we can get. All right, and we'll see you next time. All right, thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Hi, house guests. I'm Billy Eichner.
And I'm Luke McFarlane.
And we're excited to share a sneak peek of our new movie, Bros. A rom-com to remind us that everyone deserves love, you know, except for the house guests who voted for your eviction.
Are we married? No. Bros. Rated R.